Hello everybody, in today's video I'm going to be talking about my first experience with Kaal Bhairava. And first, to start, a quick summary on who Kaal Bhairava is. Bhairava is a form of Shiva, Shiva being the state of consciousness that is 0 hertz, where state of nothingness. So if you were to close your eyes and have no sound and no thought, that state of consciousness, that experience can be explained as the Shiva state. Shiva also is known as the Adi Yogi, the first yogi, the first man, as Shiva did incarnate first as man to then teach this knowledge, teaching the knowledge of the third eye and imparting knowledge of how to go within to access this Shiva state that all living beings are, at the end of the day, connected to. My first experience with Kaal Bhairava being a form of Shiva, Shiva being the state of pure nothingness, Kaal Bhairava being a point before that nothingness. There's also a story about Kaal Bhairava chopping off the head of Brahma, and in a sense, Brahma is the Manipura chakra of Vishnu, or Vishnu being the causal being, that is the one that is dreaming of all the existence that we are in right now. Brahma being a manifestation coming from his Manipura chakra, the third chakra that deals with ego mainly. And in the idea of this story, Bhairava chopping off the head of Brahma was the sense of trying to cut off ego, or to be egoless. And as a punishment, this was Shiva who did this, and as a punishment, Shiva was brought down and brought to carry a shrunken head around, basically as a way to, the head of Brahma, that is, as a way to say that, no, you still have this ego, to still carry the shame that, no man can purely, fully depart. The way I take it, that this whole story is that no man can truly depart away from that worldly attachment, or that Brahma. So somebody trying to reach the Shiva point and give up detachments before they're truly ready for it, it's somebody who enters the path of Bhairava. So in the sense, if I were to want to follow Shiva immediately today, at my age of 25, it would be me wanting to move away to Nepal, up to the mountains and retreat, to be completely detached from this world. In a sense, that's was something that I was chasing, but my own ego was cut off when I realized there's still worldly things here that I'm chasing, still reasons why I chose to reincarnate. And that was kind of the sense of the calling of Bhairava into my life, is basically a waking up of truth, and to say that I still have desires here. I'm no perfect man. I still have temptations of the flesh, and I still have attachments to certain things. That's something to be open about. That was my perception of hearing that story. If we jump a little bit further into my first encounter with Bhairava, more so as a calling, more so as a feeling, in college, this was the first time that I began to become interested into, Hinduism and spirituality and all that. It was the summer before my senior year of college. There was a very specific moment. I remember I was working at a Christian camp, and I was lifeguarding, and I was, maintaining the landscaping there and everything. I also did wedding venues, as well, like serving the wedding food and all that. But I remember when I was cleaning the pool one day, I was just thinking about, it came to my mind, because I was someone who didn't grow up religious, it came to my mind, what would, what is God? And how did the universe become created? And so I managed, what would it be like before the Big Bang? I thought, well, before the Big Bang, there would just be nothingness. And I thought about that. I just thought of this blank, all this blackness. And then I thought of, well, this is nothing. And I thought, well, that's impossible, because the idea of nothing is something. And so that own complexity right there, the idea that contradicts itself, in fact then makes there's nothingness, and then, well, this is nothing. Well, the idea of nothing is something. And then again, who is that one who's questioning, what is this something? Who is the observer, that somethingness? And I think that whole absurdity then created this entire experience that we're now living in. So there was nothing, and then all of a sudden there was, boom, light. And past that experience, going into my senior year, I began to watch videos by Sadhguru, and he's somebody who, kind of proclaims to carry the right of the Adiyogi as well. And so when I was in college, I slowly became more and more detached to, worldly desires, things that, at the end of the day, a lot of the drinking and the partying that I did in college was really for, there was a girl that I liked that liked all those things. And so I thought, oh, if I do all these things and she liked me, that's really where a lot of it came from. But it also kind of came to the point where the drinking and all that and being at the bars, I would stand there and I'd be drinking. I really wouldn't feel that drunk. And my cat's floating. I would just look around. I'm like, why am I here? I'm like, what's the point of this? I'm like, everybody here is hammered. I don't want to be here. There's no point of me being here. And so every time I would grab some food, walk myself back home. It would be, it was a college town, but it was, probably about 1.5 miles back, and just walk like in the middle of the night, kind of by myself. I just leave the bars early, and it started to happen more and more as I was closer to the end of leaving college. And what I didn't realize at that time is that which was calling me was the energy of Bhairava. And let me explain that for a second. So when I was in college and when I was drinking with people, I was on the swim team. And so a lot of the times on the weekends, at one time to drink, people were chasing, blackout or something like that, because it was our one night to really have fun and all that. What I realize now is that the Shiva state that I'm talking about, a pure nothingness, just, not even like any consciousness of what's going on. Just closing your eyes doesn't necessarily get you to that point. This is a process of sitting, chanting the mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. The Nama mantra of Shiva is one way, or you can just do something where you focus your awareness on one point, or something like your breath, or maybe another type of sound, to get yourself to that point. It's a point of pure bliss, and so that's the thing. That's why would you want to achieve that? Well, it's a state of pure bliss, and at the end of the day, if you become attached to the worldly, and you go within, and you feel, oh, this is this feels right, this is good. That's why. Sorry for the cat. But that's kind of the sense. But it's the same thing when people are chasing that blackout. Why are they trying to chase that blackout? Because they're trying to forget all their problems. They're trying to, disconnect from things that are bothering them. And it's a state that feels good and blissful. People would not do it if it didn't feel good and blissful. But it's a shame, because that is not the right way to do it. You're basically poisoning the system in order to, even poisoning the brain in order to achieve a state of blackout, when there are better ways that can be achieved through meditation, more natural ways, and ways where it doesn't also poison your entire system. And it's very different. I'm explaining this as a comparison, not saying that is the Shiva state, but that state of blacking out and having consciousness over your body is similar to that Shiva state of having full disconnect from self. Going back to that story of me walking myself home from the bars, something else to compare to that. First thing to point out is I had heard that from a TRS video, Beer Biceps. It was Rajesh C. Nandi's video, one of the videos that he was on. And he basically had said, my cat is playing with a toy right now. It's really not a good time for that. But he had said basically that Bhairava is that energy that walks you home, that takes you home from the bars. Bhairava is that protector energy, and he also protects the Dharma, i.e. if I was brain dead from blacking out every single night, I definitely wouldn't be able to teach this knowledge still. So it was something that was protecting me and my brain and my mind and my body from, liver damage or brain damage or anything like that, just pushing myself away from that and, allowing it to be more of just, a social thing rather than trying to chase a certain high through consumption of alcohol. And my cat is playing with a toy. I really should have locked it up before I made this video, but not my cat, but the toy, of course. What else I was going to say is with Kaal Bhairava, when I was walking myself back home, there was this TV show that I kept finding myself coming back to. And that TV show, its name was Raised by Wolves. And in that show, the show was about, this was about AI. It was an AI robot on an alien planet. It took place in the future, where on Earth, it was like a kind of it was a dystopian future where there were two new religious systems. One, people that worshipped the sun, and then people that had like this different other worship system, but they were both, like the sun represented God, and they had a different one as well. And they had these humanoid AI robots that the humans had sent to this alien planet far away because they thought it was gonna be habitable. And they gave them these babies like in a pod. So they like birthed the babies there, these two AI parents. And that's kind of like what the show is about. And it carries on into the show that the AI mother, she births a snake alien creature somehow, but after that, she then begins to hear this frequency that is coming from somewhere on that planet. And then there was this other character that was also hearing this voice, and it was the same type of thing. The AI was hearing a frequency, the human guy was hearing a voice, and it was leading to the same thing. The idea was like he thought he was hearing God, and she thought she was hearing her creator. So it was getting very interesting, and they canceled it after season 2. But that was, looking back, I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. That's what kept bringing me back to come home, was this idea of this calling back to my my house in Ohio. And it was like calling, just like Bhairava, it was basically like it was calling me that frequency. There was this God, it was like God was calling me back home, and using that energy of Bhairava, the wrathfulness and all that, and the Dharma protector to get me home safely. And it wasn't really until after meditating upon that and going through a full chakra bija process, sadhana process, where I really reflected back and put all that together and realized, wow, there were a lot of things that were guiding me then at that time. And yeah, it's quite wonderful. I'll probably keep this video short unless anything else comes to mind. Today was a full screen video. I decided to change that up, and I am going to end up probably getting a whiteboard soon just so I can draw things behind me. And I'm also just trying to figure out too what else I should do with this channel going forward. If you have any suggestions, just let me know. For the most part, I'm going to be focusing on and really going back in on topics that I explained previously about the chakra system. What I feel I mainly want to focus on is going to be both the chakra system and also, mainly the chakra system, and then, for now it's going to be the chakra system, and then whatever else I want to talk about, be it the deities, or be it current events, whatever is on my mind at the time. But this video is specifically dedicated towards Kaal Bhairava, and until next time, Jai Mahakal.